Welcome to episode 22 of Coaching in 5 Minutes with Anil Dagia. This episode is the first out of a 3-part series on how to get coaching clients. In my previous audio, I shared with you the 3 questions that I often get asked by people who are in the profession of life coaching or want to become life coaches. You might have asked these questions to yourselves at some point in time as well. These 3 questions were: how do I get clients? How do I find my niche? How do I decide what to charge for my services? In this audio, I will answer the first question: how do you get clients? Before I begin, let me reiterate that the answers to these questions are about getting your basics right. These are the very principles by which many of my students have already earned 6-figure and even 7-figure incomes in just over 6 months' time. These are the very principles by which I, who had never sold anything, who absolutely hated the notion of selling, was able to apply to my training services, and I have been successfully earning a lot more than what I used to earn in my salaried job. And you know what the best part is? It never feels like I'm selling anything to anyone. The point I'm making is that you don't need to be an experienced salesperson. You don't even need to like the notion of selling. All you need to do is just get your basics right? Alright, so let's begin with the answer to the first question: how do I get clients? Surprisingly enough, the answer to this question is a series of questions. 5 sets of questions to be precise. Questions that answer a question? What do you mean? Let me explain. Have you ever gone to a grocery shop to get something for the house? Let's say you wanted to get butter. What did you do? You knew where you would get butter. You went there. You knew exactly what that packet of butter looks like. What size is it? What color is the packaging? You even probably know where in the store it is kept. So you went directly to that place and got yourself some butter. You'll realize that anytime you've been consistently successful about getting something, about getting anything, you were very clear about this thing that you wanted to get. You had a very rich set of mental images for it. You knew a lot of details about it. Your notion about that thing was very sharp, unmistakably precise. So let's get back to your question: how do you get clients? You know what you want. You want clients. But ask yourself, what kind of mental images do you have about clients? Do you have vivid details? Or is it just some abstract notion of people who might pay you some money for something called coaching? Well, there's a high chance that you have just a vague notion of this term clients. The very first basic that you need to get right is to create a very precise understanding of this term clients. Your understanding must be so crystal clear that if you are in a group of hundreds, even thousands of people, you should be able to pick out exactly who could be your client, who would be your client. And in order to do this, you need to ask yourself these 5 questions and answer them. The first set of questions is: who do you want as a client? Is it any human being, or is it a specific group of people? Is the group based on their profession, their industry, their stage in life, their age, or some other characteristic? Once you know who you want as a client, what group they belong to, it becomes easy for you to find out where you can get to meet them, interact with them, connect with them. With that, you would have already overcome your first hurdle of where do you find your clients? Note that you could have multiple groups of people whom you want as your client, so you need not restrict yourself to one group, but you do need to get the details of each group individually. Once you have identified the group of people whom you would like as your clients and start interacting with them, it is time to ask the second set of questions. What are their dreams, their aspirations? What do they want their life to be like? What motivates them? What gives them energy, the drive? Once you get to meet with your potential clients, interact with them, you have to put in the next bit of work on your part. Find out from them what makes them tick. Connect with them such that they open up about their wants, needs, desires, and dreams. Now, if you have attended my certification programs, you know you can do this very easily, because you have already learned some very powerful skills with which you can instantly establish deep rapport that gets them to feel powerfully connected with you. Knowing about their dreams and aspirations is good, but in my experience, I found that people will take a lot more decisive action to move away from some unpleasantness than they would take to gain some pleasure. So it helps to find out what challenges, what problems your potential client is facing, what fuels their anxiety, nervousness, worries. Which brings us to the third set of questions. What are their challenges? What problems do they face on a recurring basis? What are their fears? What are their worries? Because finding out this information in and of itself is an indicator of how much this person has started trusting you, because people usually feel uncomfortable to admit these things even to themselves. And if they have opened up to you about this, it means that they feel that much comfortable to share with you what they hesitate to admit to themselves. Wouldn't you say that you have already started coaching this person? I guess so. Besides, getting to know what someone else is going through, being able to empathize with them, allows you to connect heart to heart, and that is a reward in itself, isn't it? Here's the thing. At this stage, You have already connected deeply with your potential client. They have shared their dreams with you. They have even opened up about their deepest fears. It is time to move to the fourth set of questions. How do your services contribute towards the fulfillment of their dreams, towards overcoming the problems they face? While you've been finding out what your potential client aspires for and what are their fears, you would have already begun to form an understanding of what kind of insights you can help your client gain. Well, it's quite likely that just during the process of interacting with them, asking questions, you might have already enabled them to work out the solution, the strategy to move forward. This is where you have to become clear of how your service adds value to your potential client, and this is where the crux of the matter is. You must make it a point to communicate this to them, because if you don't, then forget about getting a client, forget about getting any client. You have to communicate what you do, what service you provide, and how your service adds value to this potential client and possibly other potential clients in a similar situation. That's how you begin the process to get clients. But before we end this talk, we have to finally come to the fifth set of questions, which is the most important of all. How willing are your potential clients to do something about their goals and limitations? Are they willing to seek help? Are they willing to pay for this help? Are they wanting to opt into your services and pay for the value your services provide? Because let's face it, there are individuals who either do not want to take any steps towards the life that they desire, or at the least not interested in seeking help from anyone else, nor pay for those services. So you may have done your homework well and be convinced that your services will serve the needs of a particular individual. Even they may be convinced that your services do provide a value. But if she or he is unwilling to do anything to seek your services, to pay you for your services, then there's no point in pushing your services down that path. Point is that coaching is a profession, and in any profession, you need to ultimately transact your products or service in exchange for money. For that, you need to know who the buyer is. You need to know whether a person is a buyer or not. These are the basics you must get right, and your journey starts right now. Also, remember, as you start answering these questions, you may become aware of even more questions. That's part of the process of seeking understanding about who your client is, and it's normal. So go right ahead and start asking these 5 sets of questions and seeking answers to them, and you will be very confident of a phenomenal success in your endeavors. Also remember to stay tuned in, because in my next audio, I will give you the answer to the second question: how do I find my niche? This is your coach Anil Dagia. To know more about me, visit my website www.anildagia.com. Till we meet again, bye for now.